Let's dive in, though. At the top of my week 2 waiver wire list is Kyren Williams. He's 7% rostered, and I would bid at least 30% of my budget to go out and get him. I think he has the most long-term and short-term usefulness on this entire list. Played 65% of the snaps, but what really was indicative to me was 86% of the snaps in the first half. When they were in a tight game, he was literally the every down back outside a handful. 26 snaps to 4 snaps in favor of Kyren Williams over Cam Akers, the presumed starter. 86% of the third downs went to Kyren, 100% of the 2-minute offense, and 60% of the short yardage work as well. Those high-value touches were all Kyren's. And we did get an Akers touchdown later in the game, but that was after we had already seen Kyren score twice, after they were already up big. That's when Akers, he did, yes, get more carries, 22 total carries, but so many of those came after the fact in the fourth quarter when they were just trying to bleed clock at that point. Kyren outscores him with 17 fantasy points and just seems like the main guy moving forward. It's a tough spot in week 2, so it is, you got to temper expectations a little bit if you go all out, bid all over on him, and then he just kind of disappoints against San Fran, the best run defense in the league. It's going to be a tough spot, but rest of season, I really think Kyren Williams has that top 20 running back upside, and it is so rare to find that without an injury on the waiver wire. I would be very proactive in trying to go get this guy. I am in love with what I saw from this offense in general, and that brings us to the next top pickup on the waiver wire. And if you need receiver more, bump him up to number 1. That's Puka Nacua, 9% rostered. Whew, what an absolutely smashing debut, filling that Cooper Kupp role to perfection. All preseason, all the hype, dating way back to OTAs, was they're putting a lot on Puka's plate. They want him to be their version of Deebo Samuel, and that couldn't have been any more true in week 1. A whopping 42.9% target share, highest in the NFL, ties Tyreek Hill with 15 targets, the most of week 1. In fact, the most targets by a rookie receiver in week 1 ever. He was also the 43% of those targets came as first read targets. So tons of it was by design in that Cooper Kupp layup style role. He ultimately, Nacua catches 10 of those 15 balls, going for 119 yards. And there were some in the end zone. There was some streaking down the field. But then, of course, those easy layup slot targets has made Kupp such a monster. It was as if he never left. And I'm not saying Puka Nacua is Cooper Kupp, but that's how good of a schemer Sean McVay is. And when you have Matthew Stafford looking this good, 335 yards on the day, and if you're in his trust tree, I mean, we've even seen Kenny Golladay, who's been useless the rest of his career, be a wide receiver 1 with Matthew Stafford. If he trusts you, he's getting you the rock. Good things happen in fantasy. So I am all about going all in on Nacua. I think he's also similar to Kyren, worth 30% of your budget, if not more, if you're desperate for a wide receiver. The risk here is when Cooper Kupp returns, what's the role going to be for him? Is this going to be just a 1-for-1? Kupp subs in, Nacua's gone? That could be the case, but he looks so good, I imagine he'll be the number 2 guy even with Kupp back. The reward is also, too, what if this injury lingers for Cooper Kupp? What if he re-injures himself and has to miss extended time later down the stretch? All things that could happen. So, yes, it's not an ideal week 2 matchup against San Fran, but being in that circle of trust, seeing that type of workload, this type of Cooper Kupp role, it should not be discounted. Now, at 7, though, I want to also cover Tutu Atwell. He's another top 10 pickup for me. He similarly to Nacua also went for exactly 119 yards. So they both had 3.4 yards per route run, given that they both ran 90% of the routes. Very solid day for him. 8 targets, 6 catches, 119 yards for that final stat line. Another guy that could be tossed right into lineups, and maybe even because he offers a little bit more of a unique skill set, Tutu Atwell, in the deep ball, getting open all layers of the field. Maybe he preserves his value a little bit better than Nacua if and when Cooper Kupp returns. I don't think he'll be quite as productive as Puka Nacua, at least for these next 4 weeks or however long we have Kupp out. That's why I definitely want Puka. He looks like he's going to be a cheat code for at least the short term, whereas Atwell feels like he could be ultimately more of the flash in the pan. But don't be shocked if come those last halves of the season, if Tutu Atwell is the guy that's actually more involved in this passing game. Both guys well worth a solid, I think 30% or so for Puka Nacua, and then maybe about 10 to 15% so for Tutu Atwell. Maybe a little more if you're desperate for wide receiver. They're both well worth roster spots at this point, with Stafford wheeling, dealing, looking as if he had never left last year. Great stuff on all accounts. What is up, you fantasy wolf? Thanks so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, share your thoughts in the comments. Check out some more videos. and join the newest Wolfpack by subscribing below.